Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to hit pause and look at something you've probably experienced 1,000 times, but literally never stopped to actually read. I'm talking about the redirect notice. You know the drill, right? You click a link, your screen flashes white for a fraction of a second, maybe a quick message pops up, and boom, you're somewhere else. It's totally seamless. But today, we're going to freeze that frame. We're going to break down the raw text of these split-second warnings to see what they're actually telling us about our everyday digital journeys.
So think about your daily web browsing for a second. What really happens in that tiny gap between clicking a link and arriving at your new destination? Most of the time, we don't even notice it, but every now and then, the invisible architecture of the web throws up a very specific, highly standardized warning. It creates this brief interstitial pause in our journey. It's a moment of intentional digital friction. Fundamentally, it's designed for basic digital hygiene and phishing prevention, just alerting you that your intended path involves a bit of a handoff behind the scenes. Today, we are analyzing a very specific set of these exact notices to really understand their anatomy.
All right, let's get into Section 1, Anatomy of a Redirect.
Okay, so the core message of every single redirect notice in our dataset begins with this exact phrase. The previous page is sending you to, and then it drops in the destination URL. I want you to really notice the phrasing here. It doesn't say you are going to. No, it explicitly states the previous page is sending you to. It highlights this totally passive state for you, the user. Sure, you initiated the click, but the architecture of the previous page is the active agent here. It's physically routing you to a new, potentially unverified location. It's a subtle distinction for sure, but absolutely crucial in understanding how the internet actually manages its traffic.
And this phrasing builds a hidden, three-step digital journey that we can map directly from the text itself. Step 1 is your origin, which the notice simply calls the previous page. Step 2 is the notice itself, that redirect notice interstitial, which basically acts as a digital checkpoint, or like a toll booth on the highway. Finally, Step 3 is the target URL. That's the exact, unmasked web address you are being aimed at. Usually, this entire three-step process is completely hidden from view. But this specific text, it forces the whole operation right out into the open.
Moving right along to Section 2, the power of choice.
What's really fascinating here is that the redirect notice suddenly presents you with a strict binary decision. On one side, you have the automation of just proceeding, visiting that target URL by either letting the redirect timer complete or manually clicking the link they provide. But on the other side, you hand it a manual safety choice, simply returning to the previous page. It literally breaks the automation loop and demands human input. You're standing at a digital crossroads, and the system is basically demanding that you take full responsibility for whatever happens next.
So the crucial takeaway here is that this exact text functions as a built-in safety mechanism. It literally says, if you do not want to visit that page, you can return to the previous page. It's giving you a moment to step back and reconsider your destination. It is the internet's very polite way of saying, hey, heads up, we are leaving the known territory of the site you were just on. Are you absolutely 100% sure you want to proceed? It shifts the liability and the ultimate choice squarely back onto your shoulders.
Let's look at where we're actually going in Section 3, Destination Risk Management URLs.
So our dataset captured 5 distinct domains, all triggered from 5 identical redirect prompts. We tracked paths from ScienceDirect, which was pointing to a book series, and MetricStream routing to an Insights article. And those were right alongside trading and compliance sites like eMarkets, FXS, and Hyperproof. Now, the warning text popping up for all 5 of these was exactly the same. But when we look closely at the URLs themselves, a very specific, almost funny pattern emerges.
If we extract the raw text strings directly from those destination URLs, a striking common thread pops up right inside the links themselves. We're seeing phrases like proactive risk management, advanced risk management techniques, and managing trading risks. Literally, every single identifiable text strand we looked at in our dataset is heavily centered around risk management terminology.
And, there's a pretty fantastic irony here. Think about it. The redirect notice itself is a generic risk management tool built into the internet, a literal warning to check your destination and manage your downside. But the destinations themselves, they're highly focused on advanced risk mitigation and trading survival. MetricStream is pushing a proactive approach. ET Markets is explicitly talking about mastering the art of managing trading risks, while FXS highlights best risk management techniques for advanced traders. Hyperproof rounds the whole thing out with general risk management techniques. The warning system was literally pausing to ask us if we were sure we wanted to take the risk of learning about risk management.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. How often do you blindly trust redirects versus actively reviewing the destination URLs?
In our dataset today, just taking a second to actually read the target URL revealed exactly what the content was going to be about before we even arrived. We knew it was a deep dive into managing risk before the page even loaded. It just proves that the target URL string in a redirect notice is packed with incredibly valuable information. So the next time the internet throws up a stop sign and says the previous page is sending you to, are you just going to blindly click through, or will you take that built-in safety moment to actually read where you're going? And actually, speaking of the trading risks we saw in those URLs, I'm curious about your own strategies. Let us know, what is your max risk per trade, and do you actually follow a strict daily loss limit? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and stay curious.